gas, I take oxygen gas. When all the atoms are similar, we say it is an element. And when a combination of elements repeats, H2O repeats throughout the crystal, throughout the compound substance, NaCl repeats throughout the substance, then I say it is a compound. अब elements भी बेटा बहुत सारे तरीके के थे. I can't use hydrogen gas to make wire, but I use iron, copper, metals to make wire, isn't it? So what we did was to study pure substances, that is elements. We classified elements into metals, non-metals and metalloids. We have so many material around us which is made up of one type of atom, isn't it? But their properties, their uses are different. So we classify matter as on the basis of their physical and the chemical properties as metals and non-metals. So here are some examples of metals given: lead, tin, nickel, gold, platinum, copper. All these things around us are nothing but they are metals. Similarly, carbon, diamond, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur, boron, all silicon, all these are non-metals. How to differentiate between them? How will I know that something around me is metal and something around me is non-metal? Okay, so we noted the first thing which we study was observed about the physical properties of these metals and non-metals, right? So first property, if I talk about, if we take any substance, if I take gold, I take silver, on other hand we take sulfur. Can you see sulfur here in this image? It's so dull looking. Phosphorus, you can see it is so dull looking, isn't it? Carbon, major component present in the coal, it is so dull. But if I see utensils, if I see gold earrings, if I see aluminium foil, they all have a shine. So the first property which on the basis of which these materials were different are luster. That means shine. So we said that metals have luster or they have a shine, and non-metals are dull. They don't have any shine. I can see coal, I can see sulfur, I can see phosphorus. You can see matchstick के आगे जो material लगा होता है, that is nothing but it is the phosphorus. So it is dull looking. It may be colored, but it is dull because it does not reflect light. So metals are lustrous, non-metals are non-lustrous. So this is the first point which is different. This is the first physical property on the basis of which metals and non-metals are different, right? So diamond is not lustrous, right? It undergoes total internal reflection. When we say reflection takes place from the surface of a substance, then we say it has a shine. I hope you are clear, Sanmita. Your doubt is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let us now discuss the next property, that is ductility. Remember, in 8th standard, all this you have read in detail. So if I have taken any of your classes, I have always told you that whatever you study in 8th, most of it will be repeated in your 10th standard. So I think that is the, if you have, yes, diamond is, Aditya, diamond is a non-metal only. But carbon has two forms, only arrangement is different. Both of them will burn to give carbon dioxide, but their physical structure is different. Okay. Okay, so ductility, next property I was saying, that is ductility. Ductility is nothing but it is the metals can be drawn into wires. How? Why it happens that non-metals cannot be drawn into wires? It is because, how will you draw something into wire? What you do? You pull it from both the ends. Right? If this is a piece of the metal, you pull it from both the ends. And when you pull it from both the ends, it stretches. So this property is ductility. If I give you sulfur or I give you oxygen gas and I ask you to stretch it, will you be able to do? No. Right? So non-metals are non-ductile. That means they cannot be drawn into wires. Whereas your metals are ductile in nature. Okay? Clear? So metals are ductile and non-metals are non-ductile. What will happen if I hammer this? If I start applying force here on the metal piece, I go and applying force. What will happen? It will flatten. This property by which it flattens is known as ductility. Sorry, malleability. Yes, its width will decrease. Right? So we have ductility when it is drawn into wires, and we have malleability when we hammer it. Right? Second is density. Metals are very dense. Why they are dense? Because the atoms are very closely packed. Whereas non-metals are have low density. Right? So because the atoms are not, they are tightly packed, they are solids, right? Most of they are solids also, liquids also, gases also, but comparatively the number of atoms in a given volume in case of metals is more than the number of atoms in a given volume in case of non-metals. Third property.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, nothing is written about density in the book.
It's okay. It is written, one line must be written. They must have included in the strength or something like that. Okay. Somewhere it is written that they are denser. It is written. So metals are good conductors of heat and electricity, and non-metals are bad conductor of heat and electricity. We have exceptions also, which we will come on that topic also, but let us in general understand. So till now we have discussed lustrous. We have luster. We have discussed conduction of heat and electricity by metals and non-metals. We have discussed the densities. We have discussed the ductility, and we have also discussed the malleability. Now sonorous. Sonorous means if you hit a piece of a metal, it gives a peculiar sound. We use in guitars, in strings we use to play music also. Even your bells uh, have a metal iron piece inside it and a gong which strikes over it to produce a peculiar sound. So they are sonorous, whereas non-metals are non-sonorous. Then we have hardness and softness. Metals are very hard. Few metals are soft and can be cut with knife also, like sodium is a soft metal, whereas non-metals are generally soft. But diamond is the exception. Diamond is the hardest substance known. Although it is a non-metal, but still it is the hardest substance known. I hope all are getting clear. Malleability, I have told you, if you hammer something, it changes into sheet. That is known as the malleability. If you break a piece of coal, it breaks. Hammer a piece of coal, it breaks. If you hammer a piece of phosphorus, it breaks. But if you hammer a piece of iron nail, it will flatten. If you hammer a piece of aluminium, it will flatten, right? If you hammer a piece of gold, it will flatten. So this process of changing this property by which they can be beaten into thin sheets is called malleability. Now generally, because density is high of metals, metals have high melting and boiling point, whereas non-metals have low melting and boiling point. For example, bromine, fluorine, they have very low melting and boiling point. आप सोचो phosphorus का तो कितना कम है, ignition temperature that you just rub it and it immediately catches fire. So that's because it before reaching its melting point only it starts burning. So they are, the metals have low melting point and boiling point, and metals have high melting and boiling point, and non-metals have low melting and boiling point. Now let us look at the exceptions, because this is the most important part. Now see, till now what we are hearing is that according to CBSE, more weightage will be given to the MCQs and 1 mark questions. So please children, read NCERT, each and every line of NCERT, because one webinar I attended, there they have said that whatever is being given in the NCERT, it has been removed from the syllabus, no doubt. It will not come in the board exam from that. But for knowledge, you can always read. And your entrance also, you will be getting these questions. So at least go through once all the chapters nicely from the NCERT. So let us discuss now the exceptional cases. Conductivity. Now we said that non-metals are bad conductors, but the carbon, form of carbon, graphite, it conducts electricity. Why this happens, you know, we will actually discuss this in our metals and non-metals chapter. Oh, sorry, carbon and its compounds also. Because carbon has 4 electrons. When in graphite it links, 1 electron remains free, which is responsible for the current. You all know atomic number of carbon is 6 and the configuration is 2,4. So it has 4 carbon at 4 electrons in the outermost shell. So in graphite what happens? 3 bonds are formed with carbon, right? But 1 electron is left free. So this 1 free electron is responsible for its conduction, which is an exception. Only non-metal which conducts electricity is